All right, so I had to go to court recently because I was served an eviction. But the thing about it is, all of this is happening while I'm in school. So, yeah, it's stressful and overwhelming. Not to mention, as a child, I grew up moving around a lot. So, as an adult, I get anxiety and my body and my mind freezes up anytime my livelihood is threatened because my home is threatened. But this time around, I was like, nah, we got options and I'm going to lay all of them out. And so I ordered me a luxury Uber car to move all of my things into my storage, and I decorated my storage, and I was like, we're going to do this with style and grace. And so far, I'm proud of myself for how I handled the situation. This is a lot for me to reveal this part of my life with you all, but stay tuned. All right, so
Yeah, I don't agree with getting an eviction on your record this early. Sounds like she didn't have a choice in the matter, I guess, struggling student. But I do like the way that she is responding, because a lot of times life is going to come down to how you respond to things. It doesn't always just come down to what you're going through. What matters is what your response is after the fact. So she's responding well. I think it looked like she had a nurse outfit on or something. So, or dental, whichever one. But those are both two stable careers. So as long as she can stay on the path, I think she'll be fine. But I just wouldn't want to get an eviction on my record. That's really what it comes down to. But she didn't really give much other information. So maybe she doesn't have a choice to stay with family or whatever the case. But before we get into the next clip, y'all, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually does help out more than you know.
I owe my landlord $40,000. Does that mean that I have not paid rent at all? No, it just means that I've paid what I can when I can. And I found out how serious this was June 14th. I was served a notice via certified mail literally 5 minutes before I opened the doors, with a line of people outside for our Father's Day trio box pickup. I couldn't get to it until like 3.5 hours later, but I did see who it was from, so I figured what it was. But then I got to work yesterday and there was a 14-day notice on the door. You may recall around this time last year, I laid off my entire team. My pastry chef left in August, and ever since then, I have been doing everything that you can do for a bakery in person on my own. No dishwasher, no pastry help, no kitchen help, no shipping help, and obviously no days off. I haven't had a day off in a long time. My
Mm.
salary on paper is $90,000, but I have not been able to pay myself since
Mm.
2022. No health insurance, no social life, no vacations, no off switch. I did 75 hard through the winter because I needed the discipline or I was going to lose myself completely.
Most people have no clue what it takes to run a business. I haven't even thought about breaking down the whole I owe my landlord $40,000. We'll get to that in a little bit. But the fact of the matter is that at some point we have to throw away what you think your passion is or re-divert it and then reset so that you can ultimately figure out what you're going to do, because some of us just need to go ahead and get that job. Yeah, sometimes you just got to get a job, or you got to redirect what it is that you've learned from that business and move over into something different, because it may not be financially feasible for you to stay in business. And I think that a lot of times, especially women, they get emotional when it comes to the thing that they put their heart and their soul and their tears in and all of this stuff. And I get it. I get it from a business owner's perspective of what it takes to run a business. She says she's laid off all of her staff, her dishwasher, and all of this
Mm.
stuff. It sounds like, honestly, like she was in over her head before she ever even opened up the doors. It sounds like she was in over her head and she didn't really know how many different pastries or whatever it is that she sells that she had to sell in order to really make profit.
I
Yeah, I think That's some great points in there. Ultimately, how I feel about things is I think that a lot of us are getting into business for vanity. It always amazes me. I run across so many people who can't wait to brag and tell you about their business. But once you start to peel back the layers, what you find is it's really not a business. Or it really just doesn't make sense. You'd be better off getting a job, like this gentleman said. But we can also evaluate the model, right? Here's how I view business. Business is just simply money in. If you have something where you're able to bring money in, then you have a business. And ideally, you would like to keep your overhead as low as possible while still being able to bring in revenue with the potential and ability to scale. So let's just look at her model. She's a pastry chef. There's a lot of ways you can do this pastry chef thing. In my opinion, before she went and got that building with all this industrial equipment, with all these employees, why I would like to see, which she didn't go into the details too much, but I would like to just see her scale it. Maybe focus on your branding, your your black labeling, your print on demand. You can still make things look very dainty, get the boxes, get the stickers with your brand on it, but do this from home and build up a clientele. Maybe you can even set it up where they can come pick it up from you. And that will be all profit because margins are already kind of thin in the food industry. Now, when it comes to baking, I would think that the margins would get a little bit higher, especially if you're able to bake from scratch, just using raw materials like flour and that type of thing. So it's probably good margins, but you should always be focused on how can I scale this up while at the same time keeping my expenses as low as possible for as long as possible. When you decide to scale up and get a building and upgrade your expenses, it should almost be a necessity at that point. Y'all, this is a business for me. I make content. People been complaining about my mic for the longest. The new mic is coming. It's on the way. However, I didn't need a mic. My things are growing over here. That money that I spent on a mic can be deployed somewhere better where it would actually give more growth. Because there's a business philosophy I heard from, and then I'll wrap it up and we'll get to the next clip, from Alex Hormozy, where he said, anytime you make a significant change, always expect a 20% decline. But the idea is when you make that change, you need to be strategic and selective about the things that you change. If things are growing, if things are going in the positive, then it needs to at least have the potential for a 20% upside. So I'm looking at the mic. I'm like, well, things are going very well. I mean, maybe the sound could be better, but is getting a mic going to give me a 20% upside for what I'm going to spend on it? Or could I deploy that somewhere else that could give me a much better 20% upside? Maybe some software, etc. I mean, it just depends, right? So this is how you have to think. Your main focus should always be, how do I get more money in the door? How do I grow while not increasing my expenses until it really just becomes a necessity, which is a great thing. Imagine imagine when a building is actually a necessity because you just have so many people wanting to come to you and you just have so much volume that you actually need the kitchen. That's a beautiful thing. But it sounds like really she just needs to get in the numbers a bit more and make sure the math is making sense before she decided to jump out there like that. And she's continuing to hold on. She's not letting it go, even though the writing's on the wall. And when you start owing that type of money, 40, see, we same thing with me. He said, I haven't even talked about the 40,000 yet. And me neither, because it's just so much going on with it.
Hi everyone. Come tune in. I just really wanted to just show people this. Like I am a first time landlord. I have a house down here in Mississippi that I rented out to a tenant, and I just want you guys to see how they left it. They haven't even been here a year, literally have not been here a year. They moved in last year in July, they moved out this year in June, and I just want y'all to see like how they left this house. Like, I put so much time and investment into this, and this is what they do. Like, this is the type of people that comes here and just tap your property. And like, I was so skeptical of renting it to like people from Meridian Housing Authority, like them, because it has so much bad feedback on like getting people like from that type of area and putting them into your property. That it's always bad feedback, and I regret it. I would never use Meridian Housing Authority clients, and it's just made Section 8 people look bad. And I just want y'all to see this. Like, this is fucking terrible. See, how do I turn this camera around? Okay, let's start. So this is me entering. This is the carpet. Like, this is what the carpet looked like. I had this carpet clean. This was brand new carpet. Okay, look at this. This is terrible. They took the look at this is horrible. Like, I don't know. This is the front room area. As you can see, there's one window, two windows, three windows that they busted out. This is the carpet. Like, this is nasty. This is so nasty. I put an AC unit in here. This is what they do.
Oh,
This is what they literally do to the unit.
now it's getting bad.
Like, tied up. Like, what were you trying to do? Take the AC out? Like, I don't understand. Let me just continue looking at this carpet in here. Just, how can you have carpet? How can you do this? Like, this is terrible. Looking at this carpet in here. Just, how can you have carpet? How can you do this? Like, this is terrible. Look at this. Oh my God, I'm just gonna fucking cry right now. Like, holes.
Yeah, I mean, they got holes and stuff in the wall and all that good stuff. Listen, if she's really going to be invested in renting the Section 8 tenants, it can be a lot worse than this, a lot more egregious and malicious than this. If this is something that's got her a little queasy, a little hesitant, then she might just want to get out of this completely. But it may be worth it. Because when we're talking about Section 8 in Alabama, she's probably raking it in based on Alabama standards. She's probably making a nice little profit based off what she paid for that house, but also what the housing authority is willing to pay for it. So, I mean, it may still be worth it and lucrative to do it. Plus, I don't think it would be that hard to find construction labor or whatever around Alabama. I think they can knock that out, that stuff out pretty easy. And I don't think it would be that expensive either. So I'm sure there's a lot of handymen and people in Alabama. So she just needs to get used to it. This is her first little pop in the mouth, right? And I think she'll eventually just get desensitized to it, and it'll just be business as usual.
Cannot join conversations that romanticize the struggle. Largely because, one, the people that tend to do this, even if they cannot personally afford their rent, their parents can afford their rent and do. And then they have grandparents who also offer a second safety cushion of money. And second, I've suffered for 19 years. Okay, no, I haven't suffered, but generationally, we have suffered. So it's not a joke to me. Like, I will sooner make sure that I post every hour on the clock than complain about not being able to pay my rent. I have to find a way. Like, I don't care what the job market looks like. I don't care what the economy looks like. I have to find a way. I cannot join conversation.
Yeah, you do have to find a way. But just find a way. Why you got to come online and tell us? You're just doing what adults do. We're figuring it out and we're taking care of ourselves. It's like, this is normal. This isn't anything special. You don't get a Nobel Peace Prize for figuring out your situation and finding a way for you to survive, right? I think we need to increase our standards and stop, feeling so grand about regular things.
If you don't pay your rent, I can evict you within 1 day of missing the payment. Here's how it works. You can't actually get physically evicted the first day, but I can file paperwork online in the county I'm in, and I can, if you're 1 day late, rent's due on the first, on the second I can file the paperwork. It costs $70 for me to file that paperwork, so it'd be kind of foolish if you know the people are just a few days late to do that. But in this scenario, I have tenants that are late repetitively every single month, always paying like on the 29th of the month for the current month, and then the next month is the same thing over and over again. Well, listen to this. We get a text message saying, I'm done with her. She's crazy. She's in the mental hospital. I took my kids. I'm filing for custody. I'll try to pay the rent, but I just wanted to let you know I'm not living there anymore. So that's not really how this thing works. It
Right.
doesn't work that way because you signed a lease with your girlfriend. Now, these are the same people that signed the lease saying they weren't have animals, but then they got a cat. Remember that video?
Oh my
Well,
God.
guess what? They didn't just get one cat, they got two cats because people love to brag about stuff. So we did a little online searching, found out she has two cats. And when they did the application, they said they had two kids. Well, when we showed the house, she had a brand new baby, which makes three kids technically, but she didn't say that on the application. By the time they moved in, she was pregnant again. That's making the fourth kid. So you're already barely qualifying to rent the property. You have multiple kids. I'm still going to rent to you, and you move in. You got an animal, which really was two animals. You said you had two kids. You actually had four. But guess what? On Facebook, you have a picture of six kids saying, proud mama. So the rent is late every single month. You have six kids, not two. You have two cats. You're supposed to have none. And now you broke up with your boyfriend, who's the daddy of two of your kids. And now he's out.
Mm.
You don't have a job. And you said that you're not able to work and you're not going to pay the rent. So then what do? You file a restraining order against your boyfriend, the boyfriend who's actually paying the rent at the house that you're living in that I own. And now you don't have a job. You got six kids, two cats, and you're living in my property. This is going to be fun. But we've started the eviction work process, and we go to court next week. Wish me luck. We'll see how it goes.
That was a much crazier story than what I was expecting. Goodness gracious, that was a lot going on with that story. But ultimately, look at the character. Just lying, just so easily. And then you keep having kids. Why do people with the worst character think that they should be parents? Inquiring minds want to know. Just lying about everything. He said that she has six kids, but the boyfriend she's with is only the father of two of them. So you're walking out on another man that you decided to make these permanent decisions of all these kids. You don't. I'm not understanding this. I'm not understanding why the boyfriend decided to sign up and be with a woman who already had four kids. I don't know why he thought that made sense. And then he gave her another two. And now look, now she done filed some paperwork that he can't even come around now. Just chaotic. And I hate the fact that the chaotic people are the ones having the most kids. When if we were using our brains, it should be the most stable, reasonable people who are having the most kids, not the most chaotic, degenerate people deciding to have all these kids and putting all their chaotic philosophies in these kids and then sending them out into the world to be immersed with everybody else. So, y'all, we're going to leave it there for today. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second, and it actually does help out more than you know. Also, if you could hype the video, hype is a feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button and then it'll show you the points. And since I am a smaller content creator, we actually get more points. And then Patreon's link below if you want to see self-improvement content as well. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.